Hey guys, Jeremy here from School of Wok, Covent Garden. It is Wok Wednesday, the best time of the week. And this week we're doing a Malaysian butter chicken or buttermilk chicken. It is not the butter chicken of the Indian kind. This one's crispy and it's made with evaporated milk. Don't forget to subscribe, like, hit the notification button, and all that jazz. First thing I'm going to do is just get my garlic and chili out of the way. I've got a couple of bird eye chilies here, and the bird eye chilies, I'm just going to sort of slit into them a couple of times to impart flavour, but not overly spicy. And then the garlic, just dip them in a little bit of water. You want this nice and garlicky, and as I say, this butter chicken isn't a sort of chicken curry. It is a really crispy batter around the chicken with the chicken's sort of lightly spiced. But also you've got the spice from those couple of bird eye chilies and plenty of garlic. And garlic I just want to slice thinly, but not sort of over chop. And that'll come in later on, just when we're finishing off the dish, along with the chili. Chili, garlic, sorted. I've also got my curry leaves. Now, we seem to be living in the dark ages at the moment here, and all over the world. We can't find a lot of different ingredients that we'd usually. So I'd usually have fresh curry leaves for this, but can't find them, so we've got dry curry leaves, and I've just soaked my dry curry leaves in hot water. Because I'm using dry curry leaves, I'm using a lot more than I would use fresh. But once you soak them in hot water, you'll start to smell the sort of curry leaf aroma coming off that much better. It's not perfect, it's not the same as fresh, but it will do and it will still taste good. So my curry leaves, done. So onto my chicken. Now, you want good chunks of your chicken thigh. And I'm using chicken thigh because it's got a nice bit of marbling in it. Especially when you cut it like this, you'll sort of get a good flavour coming off that. So good chunks of chicken. And now onto the marinade. So I like to put a tablespoon of curry powder, that's Madras curry powder, into this for that base of spice. And then a good pinch of salt. And it's not often that I do this, but I'm putting salt into this marinade and light soy sauce. And I'm doing that because I'm going to deep fry this and get it into batter. So that sort of flour around the edge does, I guess, take away some of that salty flavour. So roughly a tablespoon of light soy sauce. A little bit of white pepper. And then, this is slightly weird, but I'm going to put about half a tablespoon or 2 teaspoons of rice vinegar into this. The vinegar is not there to impart flavour. It is there to interact with, you'd think, the milk, the evaporated milk, but that's not right either. I'm going to put baking powder into the batter, and it should, that sort of acidity works with the baking powder and should puff up the crispy edge of the chicken or the batter a little bit more. So my dirty hand is going to go into the chicken whilst keeping my right hand clean. And you want to massage it well until all the marinade is in the chicken and not sitting at the bottom of the bowl. I'm going to crack an egg in at this point, and this is much like how you guys have probably seen me make my sweet and sour, any sort of crispy meat really. This dish will get really crispy, but then the sauce will sort of wrap around it, almost like a sweet and sour. It's quite sticky sauce. When I had this last in Malaysia in KL, it was so crispy, but sort of melty around the edge of that crispiness. And there's just something about it. I think it's a mixture of spices and the savoury that really works with it as well. I actually, when I was eating this, last time I was in Malaysia, I was on holiday with my family, and we'd had breakfast, a really good breakfast, some roti canai actually. And then we went out and had a good walk through KL, had some nice lunch, got back to the apartment, and I said to my wife, I'm going to go for a little walk, anyone want to come with me? They were all too hot, so they were like, no. I said, well, if I do come across any food, does anyone want anything? No, not hungry at all, not hungry at all. Yeah, went for a little walk. Anyway, I'm putting a whole load of flour into this. So, I went for my walk, and I stumbled across some street stores. Of course, it's Malaysia. And there was loads of great street stores. And one of them was making this awesome chicken. And you could have it either butter chicken or just fried by itself with a homemade sambal on the side. I just went for the homemade one, but it was so good. And I ordered one portion, but what I didn't realize was one portion was a whole chicken. So anyway, I took most of the chicken back with me. I ate a piece on the way back. And of course, my family, who said they didn't want to eat any, ate it all with me within about 10 seconds. And then we went for dinner with some friends, and we were not hungry at all, but we ate the dinner too. Anyway, there's my story. So I've put about 300 grams of plain flour into this mix, along with half a bowl or 50 grams of corn flour and a teaspoon of baking powder. And what you want to do is mix that round to a point where each piece of chicken is well covered in that flour mix. But also, you can see I'm going quite heavy-handed on this because I want to get the flour around the pieces of chicken to be almost a little bit breadcrumby in texture. And you can see that there, but there's a little bit of chicken left there, so I'm just going to make sure that's well dipped. And that breadcrumby texture will make the chicken even crispier. So you want to start this off on a high heat and just carefully lay your pieces of chicken in. And that baking powder in there will react straight away to the heat. Or your chicken, I've got a fair bit of chicken here. I might have to do it in half, so I don't want to lose the heat if I can help it. But they are quite big chunks of chicken. So once all your pieces of chicken in, you can see how quickly that breadcrumb kind of crisps up. Then you want to turn your heat down to medium heat to keep cooking. And we're going to deep fry this for about 4 to 5 minutes just to make sure that chicken gets really nice and crisp, but also cooks through all the way. So you can see after 4 or 5 minutes that the chicken is super crispy. You could happily eat it just like this, to be honest. And you'll hear the bubbles change. So it'll go from sizzling to just kind of bubbling once the chicken is fully cooked. So you can probably tell already there's no way that this recipe is healthy at all. So you may as well go all out, in my opinion, when you're having such a treat. So I'm going to take a little bit of oil, but it is a butter chicken or buttermilk chicken. Now, it's funny this, because it's not a butter chicken, an Indian butter chicken. It's also sometimes called Malaysian buttermilk chicken, but there's no buttermilk in it. But there is butter in it. We got something right. And then we're going to get the chili and garlic, but I'm going to have this on a relatively low heat here for wok cooking. You could do this in a frying pan as well. Now I only put that little drizzle of oil in there just so that it would sort of bring the smoking point of the butter oil mix up a little, because I am cooking it in a wok and I don't want it to burn. Your curry leaves, they can go in. And if you are using dry curry leaves, it's quite nice to keep the water, because we might need to use that. Otherwise, you can just use some water later on to thin out the sauce a little if need be. Now I'm going to hit the heat up to medium heat now. And we're going to start to bring in your evaporated milk. So as I said, there's no buttermilk in this. It's usually evaporated milk with a little bit of condensed milk for some sweetness. So you're going for this like sweet, salty, spicy mix or finish on the chicken. Apologies for the helicopter. They've heard I'm cooking butter chicken. And the police are hungry. So you want to pour about 300 mils of evaporated milk in, and then bring that to a boil on a medium heat. Next up, some condensed milk, and this is very sweet, as you probably know. We're going for about 50 mils, a couple of tablespoons of condensed milk. Mix that in, and what that will do is it'll help to thicken the sauce quite quickly. But as I say, this is going to be quite sweet right now, and I'm going for sweet salty, not just sweet. So I'm going to put about half a teaspoon of sea salt into that, and again bring that to boil on a medium heat. And that evaporated milk, condensed milk mix will already have a good amount of that sort of garlic, chili, butter infused into it with those curry leaves. Just keep stirring that through whilst it's starting to boil, and then you can either serve your crispy chicken on the plate, pour the sauce over the top, or you can quickly toss the chicken through the sauce so every piece has a good coating of sauce. Just don't leave it sitting in the sauce for too long, because you want to try and keep as much of the crispiness as possible on the actual chicken pieces. And you can see now I've got that sort of double cream thickness. It's starting to stick around the edges. So I'm going to switch that off and then get all that crispy chicken into there. Give it a few tosses through. And that dish is done. You can see this sticky, creamy garlic sauce. Still sizzling off the wok there. I'm going to just go straight in whilst it's hot. Like a big popcorn chicken. You can really taste the spices coming off the batter. And I'm guessing Lee can hear this. Still super crunchy. And that's down to getting the texture of the sauce right. So get that double cream texture, and it'll just wrap around that crispy chicken. You won't lose the crisp of the chicken, but also the vinegar and the baking powder in that batter help to crisp up that chicken even more. Oh, that is taking me back to holidays, and if you live in Malaysia, I'm jealous. I think this chicken here, Malaysian fried chicken, is definitely one of my favorite fried chickens. There are so many different types. We've got loads of different recipes on our site. What is your favorite, whether it's the school or Wok recipe or someone else's or your own recipe? Let us know in the comments below. Guys, don't forget, subscribe to our channel, hit the notification bell, do a little dance, eat some chicken.